Judge Andrew Napolitano is a Newsmax senior judicial analyst, and he joins us on this. Judge, good to see you as always.
Good morning.
Right.
You put it perfectly by saying how, if at all, Trump's presidential win affects this case. Yeah. There's no precedent. Judges always look for precedent. How did other judges address a similarly situated matter in history? There obviously is no precedent. So initially I thought, come on, Justice Merchan, make a decision. Don't kick the can down the road. But then I realized this is a novel territory. Both sides have to opine on it. So the government is going to say, he's not the president for another 60 days. Sentence him and get it over with. We don't expect you to put him in jail. It will be impractical to put him in jail. The defense is going to say, yeah, he's not the president, but he's putting together his presidency. At least put this off for 4.5 years. At best, get rid of it now. Why should it be hanging over his head? That is basically the choice that Justice Merchan has to make. Bear in mind, it's a political system here. He's a member of the Democratic clubhouse, so to speak, here in Manhattan. He's got to run for re-election with a very, very liberal electorate. Now, that is not his fault. That's the system here. In many states, judges run for office. In some states, they are appointed and they don't have to worry about what the voters think.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, he obviously to get this far in the case
right.
is already sort of implying that he was willing to take this on. And
we're talking. He's a courageous person. He withstood a lot from the government and from Trump, a lot of criticisms. And those of us who attempted to look at this, whether you like Donald Trump or not, whether you wanted him during the trial not to be there or to be there. Those of us who looked at this with blinders on, just as judges look at trials, basically said he did a good job, he was fair, he was workmanlike, he was what you'd expect a judge to be.
So Justice Juan Merchan will have, right now has a sentencing date. If there's a decision made based on the Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity, and this decision is made on Tuesday, maybe to toss the conviction altogether, what happens in that moment? What does that look like?
Okay, it's very interesting because under New York state law, you ready for this? He's not convicted until he's sentenced. So if he's never sentenced, he has never been convicted. And he may say so publicly, even under oath, if he should ever be under oath in another form. Have you ever been convicted of a crime? No. As weird as that sounds, everybody's going to say, well, the jury found him guilty on 34 counts. What do you mean he's not convicted? Under the law, he's not convicted until the judge reviews everything from the vantage point of history. The trial was in July. It's now the middle of November, and imposes sentence. If he never imposes sentence, there's no conviction. He shouldn't have this hanging out there for 4.5 years. He should say, I'm going to dismiss the indictment in deference to history. And history tells me that a president-elect should be free to construct his presidency. And a president should be free to execute his presidency without this sort of Damocles hanging over his head. That's what I think Justice Merchan will do, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does do that. Would I have said this 4 months ago when it looked like there was a real horse race between Vice President Harris and President Trump? No, but the American public has spoken. Trump has the weight of the world on his shoulders, and the court needs to recognize that.
Yeah, just the timeline of it all. You think back to payments back in 2016.
Right.
And then you want to delay it 4 more years, talking 2028.
That'd be a political move. That would be a move designed to please, I hate to use this phrase because he's a judge, his political base. And he shouldn't be making a decision. He did not make decisions during the trial, in
what
my
about
view,
the gag
based
order?
on a political base. I thought the gag order was wildly unconstitutional, but I'm an outlier on that. I never signed one. People appealed my decisions not to sign one, and I was upheld because I believe the First Amendment means what it says. Congress shall make no law, which means no government shall make any law abridging the freedom of speech.
Well, that's a good point. So is the gag order in effect until sentencing? That was my understanding.
Yes. And technically, that gag order, as absurd as this sounds, the trial was 4 months ago. The jury is back to their normal lives. The witnesses are back to their normal lives. There's still a gag order. On that, I profoundly disagree with Justice Merchan, but he was upheld by the appellate court 5-zip.
Information. truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.